Welcome to the Make and Design podcast. I'm Carina Gardner, and it is the week of Thanksgiving in the United States. And while there are many of you who listen overseas in different countries, in the United States, Thanksgiving is, if not my favorite holiday, one of my most favorite holidays. And the reason is because I love being with family, and I really love spending that moment in time reminding me to be grateful for all the things that I have. Many of you guys know I have a gratitude practice where I write down 3 very specific things I'm grateful for every single day. I will tell you, I'm not perfect at it. In fact, I feel pretty good if I can get to it 3 times a week or so. So don't feel like you have to be perfect at it for it to work for you, but it really does work wonders for my mindset. It reminds me to be grateful for what I already have. And ironically, I think it's the thing that brings me more in my life, more gratitude, more abundance. And this is such a great week because it's a reminder of just really how much I have to be grateful for. And it really had me thinking a little bit about mindset in general, because mindset doesn't seem like a big thing for designers, but it actually is. It's a big thing for any business owner. Oftentimes I'll be talking to someone, and the way they talk about things, the way they process things tells me everything I need to know about whether they can succeed, whether they're on to the right path, whether they are self-aware enough to know whether they can make it or not. It's super duper fascinating. I've recently been reading a book called The Art of Thinking Clearly. If you want to grab this book, it's fantastic, by Rolf Dobelli. I'm having a couple of my kids read it as well because I just think it's so good. This book basically just is a catalog of cognitive biases, logical fallacies, systematic errors in judgment, and he kind of pulls them out, and kind of it's hard to unsee, is what I'm going to tell you, the things that you see in the way people speak around you. It kind of blows your mind, actually. And you start to realize where you are making terrible judgments because of these different fallacies, or the people around you are making very poor judgments. So some of the things he goes over are outcome bias, which is where you are judging decisions by results, not by the actual process of the thing. I think this sometimes happens on my own teams because we kind of will look at the results and we'll think, yeah, that's worth it. That's why we're going to do it. And then we forget about kind of really what the true cost is for creating that process. Planning fallacy, so underestimating time, costs, and risk of future actions. This is really big for business owners because planning fallacy is it is such a problem. You think that it's going to take you X amount of time or X amount of whatever in order resources to get you to where you want to be. Most people dramatically underestimate the amount of effort, time, ability, education it takes to do anything. Is it worth it? Yeah, it is. I sometimes think ignorance is bliss because some of the things I've done, it's probably better I just didn't know. But the planning fallacy is a really big thing. And even in design or in business with any of my designers or business owners that I work with, usually we take whatever it is they're going to do and I go, okay, now 3 times that, right? Like that's what it's really going to take. Authority bias. We've seen this in particular. You guys have seen it in airlines, Asian airlines in particular. Trusting authority figures too much, regardless of evidence, that it is the mistake that they saw. And I don't know if he talks about this in particular in the book, but where a co-pilot will know that they are going to die and will not stop the pilot from basically killing them because that authority is so strong. They've seen many instances of this, and they've had to do all kinds of correctional things for that. And so now there aren't as many plane accidents, but kind of crazy. So some other things he goes through, loss aversion. Loss hurts more than the gains feel good, which is very interesting. One of my favorites is the sunk cost fallacy, continuing investments because of past costs, not future value. That one I feel like shows up a lot in all of our lives. Endowment effect, overvaluing things because we own them. We see this a lot in particular with housing values. Like you think your house is worth this much and then you don't want to come down on it when it's really not that valuable in the marketplace. So kind of some really cool things there. And the way I think about things, constantly trying to improve and figure out how to make myself have a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset, which is quite honestly very difficult. I find myself, even though I have a lot of growth mindset, really struggling with certain things that I have to work pretty darn hard on. So if you have a chance, you should pick up the book. It's pretty fun. And just thinking about what are some other ways that we can get our mindsets in a place where it's more about gratitude than it is about an abundance than it is about scarcity. That's really the dividing line. How do we make our lives feel more abundant? Because yes, we shape our reality versus it feeling very scarce and difficult and there's not enough. When there's scarcity mindset, it is very, very difficult to move forward. Very difficult to move forward. So something to think about this Thanksgiving week, this week of gratitude, whether you are in the United States or anywhere else. And I just want to tell you how grateful I am for you guys for coming and hanging out with me on this podcast week after week. I hope I give you a little bit every week to contemplate on, to become a little wiser on. And as the teacher learns as much, if not more than the students, that I myself am constantly trying to improve on as well. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving week for those of you in the United States. Love and cherish your loved ones. This has been a very interesting year, I think, for myself, but for a lot of Americans and for people everywhere in the world, because it really has been a rough economy for so many. And I think that in a world where there can be a lot of mistrust, I actually believe, and maybe this is just a hopeful belief, but I really believe that 99% of us are just trying to do our best. I do think there are some people out there that are not very nice and are very difficult, but I truthfully believe that most of us really are trying to do our best, are trying to live the best we can, be kind and good to the people around us. And I think as you go through life, give people the benefit of the doubt. That's a really, really beautiful thing. And if you can do that, maybe it might not be 100% true, but your reality will reflect that. I have been a very lucky business owner in that when I started Design Suite, I said the number one thing I do not want is I do not want a community like the ones I had seen on Facebook or in forums where people fought, they held back secrets, people were know-it-alls. And I continue to see this, especially in private forums that I've had access to. I've been kind of blown away that those in charge have let some petty things go on in those communities. We do not allow that in our communities. And to be totally honest, we haven't had that problem in our communities. And it's because the people who come in knowing that we are going to work in abundance, that we are going to work knowing that we can do this, that there's hope for the future, there's an artist in every single one of us. And especially because we're a smaller group, because we keep our numbers at a certain level, that we can do things that the majority can't do, because we can share information. We can all not be afraid to share that information. My students and my members know that I pretty much will tell you guys anything and everything going on in my businesses, how things are going, what I'm seeing, especially in design. And I feel really grateful for that. I feel grateful for the memberships and for the students who have put their trust in me and have put the trust in my team. I feel very lucky, is what I will say. I feel very, very lucky. Keep up the amazing work, you guys. Keep doing the things you need to do in order to run your design businesses, create your art businesses, and make your life a compelling and interesting life for yourself, because we just have this one life to live. And I know that you are doing your very best.
Want to hang out more? Go to DesignSuiteCourses.com/free to get our weekly freebies and patterns, die cut files, and more. Can't wait to see you there.